Okay, welcome to this great time where we're going to be talking about how to monetize your skill as an HR professional. My name is Shegun Akiode, and I'm going to be your host for today. Welcome as you join in the live stream. Kindly remember to drop your name and your location in the chat room. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to be sharing from my wealth of experience, over a decade experience, on how I have been able to monetize my skill as an HR professional. It's going to be a very interactive session. So I'm going to be teaching for a few minutes, then I'm going to open up. I'm going to be picking up questions from the chat room. So remember as well, drop your name as you join in and your location in the chat room. And also remember to drop your questions in the chat room as well, because in a few minutes, I'm going to be taking questions from the chat room and I'm going to be addressing them one after another. So welcome to this very interesting time where we want to talk about how to monetize your skills as an HR professional. So I'm going to be starting up by telling you a quick story. My name is Shegun Akiode. I like to describe myself as a born teacher. I read chemical engineering, but I'm currently in doing human resources. And my story of coming from chemical engineering into human resources is a typical example of me trying to monetize how do I transit from HR, from chemical engineering into human resources, was me trying to say, okay, so how do I get paid? Yes, I did chemical engineering. I don't want to practice chemical engineering. How can I be paid? And that was the very first opportunity I had in packaging myself and presenting myself before my potential employer, to the point at which I got a trainee HR consultant role. In the course of my over 10 years experience, I've lost my job 3 times. And for each of those times that I've lost my job, one thing that keeps going in my mind is paid employment and self-employment. The ability to get another job is my ability to be able to monetize, meaning my ability to be able to see opportunities. So let's go into the presentation right away. So if I ask you, what does it mean to monetize? So let me get myself out of the frame so that we'll be able to see more of the presentation. So what does it mean to monetize? That's a question that needs to be answered on your mind. What does it mean to actually monetize? So to be able to monetize, we're talking about you being able to get cash, the ability to earn revenue. So any revenue from something is you being able to monetize a thing. Then it talks about making money from something. So take, for example, I have a pen and I'm saying, how can I make money from me owning this pen? Okay, what if I start a rental program where I can allow people to use my pen for a fee? That's me monetizing my pen. In itself, the pen is not something you would typically monetize. But in actual sense, when I said I'm going to pay you 10 naira to use my pen for 1 minute, then at that point I've monetized my pen. If I have a space in front of my house and I say, okay, what if I get some retail people that can pay me for that space? That's me monetizing. So ability to earn revenue from something, or to be able to make money from something. That is what we're talking about, monetize, ability to monetize. Then you should recognize that the ability to earn money from something is a process. It's not something that's going to happen over time. You need an action plan. You need the ability to even identify what people will pay for, then being able to package this as a product, being able to find the right set of people that will pay for it, and the ability for those to be able to exchange that product for money, because you must be able to present it before them. So it's a process. So what we're doing today is not an overnight conversation. It's a conversation that is going to transcend the whole of the new year, meaning that we're in the new year. It's a fresh start. It means that your ability to be able to create a process of monetization. Yes, HR professional, you can be an HR professional as your day job. What are some other things that you can create a process around that can make you an extra stream of income? Remembering the fact that we're in the gig economy, according to Future of Jobs report, it means that we are in the age where freelancers will become the order of the day. Remote work has become part and parcel of the work life. So it means, what if I'm able to create a little extra stream of income into what I currently do in my 9 to 5 and be able to generate income from them? So I'm going to be taking you through. So how do I now monetize? So if you say you want to do a monetization, so how do I go about the monetization, which is the critical point that we need to recognize? So how do I monetize? So I have this skill, which you're going to be looking at a list of skills in a couple of minutes. I have these skills. How do I monetize it? What are the process I need to go through to be able to monetize? So what are the things that I need to do? I'm going to be going through them now. One, you need to discover. So it's a 3-pronged approach. It's a 3-part process. The first thing is to be able to discover. It is very difficult for you to monetize what you have not discovered. So if a skill is yet to be discovered, there's no way you're going to monetize it, because you need to recognize that it is there in the first place. Then you can be able to, you need to identify that skill. So what are you good at? By skill, I mean an ability to perform a specific task or activity to a high level of proficiency. For any individual to be able to pay you to do something for them, it means you are good at doing it. So if I talk about, I like knowledge sharing. One of the reasons why we're having this live stream session at this time is because I love knowledge sharing. I do not like to hoard my knowledge. So I'm currently monetizing invariably by telling you about how to monetize knowledge, because I'm currently sharing a knowledge with you now. So if I choose to record this session at this time, and I choose to give it out at a fee later, that's me monetizing my knowledge, because I'm currently doing this live stream so that I can tell you how to monetize your knowledge. So for me to be very good, so I'm speaking now, it can be a skill to me. I've become very good at it. As a matter of fact, I've been teaching for free for a long time. So the very first time somebody decided to give me a check of 25,000 at an event I did in a religious organization, and I'm not sure I paid. I had actually spoke for more than 1 hour, and I was given a check of 25,000. It looked like very big money for me, because I enjoy knowledge. I enjoy sharing knowledge. So for somebody to pay me for that knowledge, you're saying, are you serious? So for somebody to pay me 25,000 to speak for less than 1 hour, it means there are more people out there that will be willing to pay me even for that skill, because I can do it to a certain level of proficiency. Then you need to make a list. So what are the list of skills that you can actually monetize? List of skills people can pay you for. I'm going to be walking you through some highlighted list right away, and I'll tell you how I have been able to monetize some of them, and maybe you can be able to have a light bulb experience that you also can be able to see 1 or 2 of them that you yourself would be willing to monetize on your own site. So what are some of those lists? Number 1, writing. Yes, it looks interesting. Your ability, some of you are very good at writing, to the point at which you can author a book, and people can actually pay you to have it back. As a matter of fact, I have a book published, Corporate Misfit, Immutable Career Lessons for Fresh Graduates. So that's a book I wrote in 2015. Interestingly, the story of me writing my book was after the 3rd time I lost my job. So after the 3rd time I lost my job, I asked myself the question, so this is the 3rd time I'm losing my job. So what can I do that people will pay me for? What am I so good at? And writing was one of them. Far back 2012 or thereabout, 2010, 2012 thereabout, I've been writing for Jobberman. I think it was 2011. I started writing for Jobberman for free, pro bono. And I was writing on job search tips. I was doing a lot of recruitment at that time. I saw experiences of recruiters and issues, mistakes that job seekers were making, and I started to put all of them into a writing. Then somehow down the line, when I lost my job in 2014 for the third time, I asked myself the question, so what can I do out of this writing that I've been doing for free for close to this time? I wrote for Jobberman, I wrote for Ventures Africa. Then at a point, I started to write for the Punch newspaper in the iPunch column on social recruiting. And all of this was owning my writing skill. And I asked myself the question, so I want to do self-employment. Why don't I put all of the things I have written on a free blog into a book? And here am I. I have a book published in 2015, and the book is bringing what we call passive income for me. So earlier in the year, I still have some copies of the book, and an organization approached me and said they are trying to do a 12 weeks employability session for a graduate accelerator program. And they said, do you still have copies of your book? And I said, yes. They paid for copies of the book 5 years after I published the book. They paid for copies of the book for all of the 60 people that they had in the session for 12 weeks. And I was showing up from the comfort of my house to teach them on employability just by a passive income of my book. That's one thing, writing. Then very related to that is blogging. Some of you are very good when it comes to blogging. Blogging is related to writing. So writing can be offline. The other part to writing is having ghost writers. So say, for example, I'm a busy executive. I need to write a book. And you're very good. Yes, your 9 to 5 is HR, but you can actually be a ghostwriter. You can choose to volunteer your skill to help somebody put a book together for publishing, and you'll be paid for it. You can do editing and be paid for it. Then you can actually go a step further by having a blog, by having your own website. I have a website, segunakiyode.com, that I feature most of my writing on. And as I said, it became part of my book at a point. So you can start to blog. It's part of your personal branding that someone can choose to pay you for, related to writing. Also is coaching. So take, for example, when I'm done with this session, I'm sure a few individuals will be asking me the question. So Segun, do you have a process where I can tend to identify my skill and start to monetize it? So I have you covered. At the end of the session, I'm going to be telling you about what I'm having in mind to do, to have a sort of a boot camp where I will take you through how to identify your skills and how you can start to monetize. So I can choose to be a coach in that area. As a matter of fact, I do career coaching. One of the interesting things is that if you check the description of this YouTube video, you would be able to see a 30-minute free career clarity session that I usually offer. Now, some individuals tend to do the 30-minute career clarity session, and they tend to pay for me to coach them. As a matter of fact, earlier today, I was having a conversation with somebody that is going to be retaining my coaching services for the entire year, meaning I can actually coach you on what I know. I'm very good in compensation and benefit, very good in analytics. You want me to coach you? Yes, I can pay you. What are you so good at that people can pay you a dime for? Some individuals are currently enjoying those things for free now. Why can you create a process around it that you can start to monetize that particular skill? Very closely related also is podcasting. Yes, about 2014 as well, I started to podcast. Podcast is an audio version. So we're having a video and a live session now. Podcast is you recording your audio and releasing it as audio files. It's a podcast. So while I publish my book, I asked myself the question, so how do I get known such that people will start to hear about me, and through that means I can sell my book? So I started a podcast, which I still have to today, Career and Employability Talk. And I was releasing published articles for free, audio files for free. As at the last time I checked, I think I have about 78 audios at the moment. And earlier last year, 2020, I moved that podcast into Anchor. And Anchor gave me an opportunity to create a sponsorship program, meaning they can actually put a sponsored ad in my podcast and I will be paid for it. People will just listen to the podcast and I get paid. So I monetized my podcast last year. As no matter how small it is, there are a few dollars that are dropping in my hard account on Anchor as we speak, just from podcasting. Then, very closely related to that as well is when we're talking about speaking. So we're talking about speaking engagement. It's a skill. You're very good at it. People can pay you to speak. So since the lockdown of 2020, I started to take note of the numbers of speaking engagements on Zoom that I've had cause to have. And little, I started to track how much was coming in from that. And a certain month, I looked at it and it was running into 7 figures. And I said, just by sitting down for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour each day, there are days when for a whole 1 week, I'm speaking, I'm facilitating, and I'm being paid from the comfort of my home. That's a skill that you can actually be paid to for as an HR professional, irrespective of how it is. It's closely related to facilitation. So when I look at speaking and facilitation alone, last year during the lockdown, it brought in a lot of cash for me just by sitting in the comfort of my home. So are you very good at facilitation? You can volunteer to be a facilitator, either online or offline. And closely related to each of this is you can now begin to create what we call online courses. So if I package everything we're discussing now into an online course, yes, close to 200 people registered to attend the session live at the moment. And what it means is that if they are not able to show up and I say, okay, pay a fee to have access to it, that's an online course itself, just by combining your ability to speak very well, to record, and to be able to create videos for that same thing. And it's the same thing. YouTube is also a very interesting one. So there's a YouTube monetization program that if you're good at producing videos, you can actually monetize at the level of YouTube. Now, an interesting story that is very critical for me to mention is the fact that I've had my YouTube channel for a while and I've not been too serious, let me use it that way. But during the lockdown of 2020, I started to take my YouTube channel serious. And do you know what happened? By December, as a matter of fact, it's official now. In a couple of days, you're going to be seeing some new videos that I just secured a corporate sponsorship for my YouTube channel. So what it means is that this organization approached me and said, okay, Segun Akeode, so you're doing YouTube. What's the purpose of your YouTube channel? So how long have you been doing this? What's your target audience? How many follower count do you have? Can you and any other HR people doing YouTube in Nigeria? And I said, so I actually was cracking to find any other YouTube channel that was being HR dedicated in Nigeria. And I couldn't find any. And they said, sorry, we're gonna be picking you up. We're gonna be paying you that at least twice every single month. You're going to be producing 2 videos for us. It's going to sit on your channel and we're going to pay you X amount of money for it. And I said, what am I looking for? I've been doing this YouTube channel for free. And yeah, boom, I have a corporate sponsor and I'm open for more corporate sponsorship that would come up. So that's me monetizing my ability to use YouTube. So consulting is something that is very big. Are you very good at a certain area of HR that people can pay you to consult for? So I'm very good in compensation and benefit. And I can tell you for free that between 2015 and now that I went full-time in my own consulting outfit, I've done a lot of independent consulting projects. If I choose to show you my profile of the numbers of projects I've worked with in the last 5 years, it's almost like 20 years experience for some individuals, because I am known for compensation and benefit. I get a lot of HR directors referring other HR directors that I've worked with, referring others to me to say, you want to do anything on compensation and benefit, job evaluation, salary survey, Segun is your person. And I get to do that just by consulting. I know someone, a very good friend that is very good in a certain area, and recently she released an audiobook that she sells. So she packaged one of the teaching engagements she has had into an audiobook and people pay her for it. That's you monetizing what you have. Then the aspect around digital skills. Digital skills is broad. I'm very good. I can teach you how to podcast. So if you want me to teach you how to podcast, I can teach you. If you want me to teach you how to set up your YouTube channel, I can take you through. As a matter of fact, this session we're currently having is being powered by a live streaming software called StreamYard. That's not a paid advertisement, as a matter of fact. But if StreamYard choose to pay, I can advertise them on the session. So I have to learn how to use them. So that takes me to the next point. Digital skill is broad. There's so many digital skills that you can monetize. You can teach people how to create audiobooks. You can teach people how to create PDF files, how to do ebooks. Are you very good in graphics? Yes. There are some websites that you can offer your service for a fee, and you can earn from the comfort of your room, even from working from home. It doesn't take anything. You setting up the system and start to earn from it. Then there are some other skills that you are very good at. Say, for example, I know a few HR professionals that do cake making. So over the weekend, they are busy making cakes for people. That's them monetizing their skill. Some others are very good when it comes to event management. I even met a particular HR professional that is a DJ. So what that means is that when you have an event, you can come and do the DJ for live. And those are other events, other skills that you can actually monetize. Then after you have discovered, you need to go to the point of developing that skill. If you do not develop the skill that has been identified, then it's going to become dormant, which is where the critical point is. You need to own your skill to perfection or near perfection. So for somebody to pay you to write, if you're an author, for example, or you want to do ghostwriting, you must be very good. If you're to do editing, you must be very good that I'll say, okay, if I give you that money, then it's worth my time. If you are very good with speaking engagement, you must get so good. So say, for example, you know how to do PowerPoint presentation. You must get so good to the point at which somebody is willing to pay you for it. You know how to do CV writing. Beautiful. There are a lot of people. How do you stand yourself out that I can give it to you, that you'll be so good at CV writing that somebody will be able to pay you for it? So there was a testimony that someone was sharing with me earlier today. Sometime last year, she signed up for one of my paid coaching session, and I helped her to review her CV at the end of the session. And she has been trying to leave her current role for like 5 years. And to cut the long story short, we reviewed her CV. We tweaked a few things in the approach to her leaving her job, and she got a new job during the lockdown, and she resumed before the end of the year 2020. And she was sharing with me earlier today, and I said, wow, this is wonderful. So that's a testimonial. So if I tell you that I'm going to help you to transit from whatever career you are currently in into anyone you want to get to, you're going to pay me for it, because I already have testimonials. This is me owning my skill. I've done a lot of free coaching session to the point at which I get better. I do free audio session. I get better at it, and better and better. I do video editing. That's actually something that I do. So some of the things that I'm currently doing, I'm doing everything from the beginning to the end myself. That's a skill I have gotten better and better at, such that I can teach any individual that is interested, that want to start to do this for a fee. Then you need practice to get to develop your skill. You need dedication, and you need money. There are some things you will get for free on Google, no doubt. There are some things you will get for free on YouTube. I learned a lot of things on YouTube. And there are some things you would need to pay for to be able to enjoy. Take, for example, about the same time when I wanted to take my YouTube channel very serious last year, I decided to pay someone to be part of a YouTube bootcamp. And by virtue of being part of the YouTube bootcamp, I got better at producing YouTube videos. I got better at editing. It's almost like a workstation here. So currently, I have 2 laptops connected together for this presentation. I learned it on YouTube. Those are things that you can get for free. Then some other things I needed to pay for. I needed to know that if I need to take my YouTube game to the next level, I would need to pay for it. Take, for example, I'm using this particular microphone that I'm using at the moment. I had to pay for it. It was not free. I bought it on Amazon. I don't need to tell you the amount. I bought it close to, I think, how much did I I think I paid for it in pounds. I can't remember. There are some things you're going to get for free. If you want to take video as an example, there are some levels of opting your game you would need to pay for. But at the start, your phone is as good as doing the videos. Interestingly, I don't currently have a supercharged camera. Most of my YouTube channels, most of my YouTube videos that are pre-recorded that you see are done from my phone. But you would never know because I opted their lighting systems. This is me paying to get better at my skills so that if I say you should pay for it, you would be able to pay for it. So that means for you to develop your skill, you need help. You may not be able to do it alone. I had to pay somebody to teach me how to do YouTube videos. I had to go through, I did some free ones on YouTube. As a matter of fact, you attending this session now, it's not free. You're using your data to stream this session. So it's not free. It's part of the dedication. And there's something very critical that the skill that you develop must have a market need, which is very critical, which is the final point, is deploying your skill. Your ability to deploy your skill after you have identified them, you have discovered them, you have developed them, and you now need to deploy to the market. So that's talking about your go-to-market strategy. So now that I've developed the skill, how will people discover it? So which of your skills are you monetizing? You can't monetize everything. You may need to start from one. So am I monetizing my ability to do very good YouTube videos? Am I monetizing my ability to speak very well? Am I monetizing my ability to edit recordings for people, either video recording or to do ghostwriting or to consult or to speak or to facilitate or to do a podcast or do voiceover? You have people have been telling you that when they speak to you on the phone, you speak so well. You can do voiceover. You can be a voiceover artist. As a matter of fact, I got last year, I was saying I wanted to write a new book, and I'm already getting more comfortable speaking into the microphone and recording my voice and recording myself. And somebody said she does transcription, meaning I can send an audio file, a video file, and they transcribe it into written notes, and I can now publish that into a book. So I'm currently doing that now. So what I need to do is to find time, I record the things I want to say, and I send it as an audio file to that person, and the person transcribe. So what is your skill that you're trying to monetize? Then who are your target audience? So I'm actually doing this session for HR professionals, simply because HR professionals are so, let me say, busy doing the day-to-day work that there are some other part of them that is crying for expression. So I noticed that I'm multi-talented. Aside the HR things I do, YouTube videos is what I do at my leisure, audio podcast. So it's me trying to monetize. And I know that for me to be in that situation where I want to monetize, there's some other things I'm doing. I want to have extra streams of income. I know there are a lot of HR people that would be interested in doing that. So when I sent this out some couple of days ago, and to my surprise, over 200 people said they were interested. It meant that there are a lot of individuals that are interested in monetizing their skill, and we're doing this now. So you need to recognize your target audience. How much would you charge them? At the moment, this session is free. But if you want to up your game and you want to learn everything I've discussed and you want to take it to a level of perfection, then you'll be willing to pay for it. So how much are you willing to pay? I don't know. I'll be checking the comment section in a few minutes to know what individuals. So how would they find you? If you want to monetize your skill, people need to be able to find you. So I have a website. It's part of your personal branding, because you must be able to build a personal brand that will sell. So when the individuals, when I mentioned the Segun Akiole brand, one thing that comes to mind is compensation and benefit, HR analytics. YouTube is getting into the game now. That is just the personal brand that can sell. You need to be able to build a personal brand that can sell. So I'm going to be going into the question, into the comment section now, and I'm going to be picking questions and reactions in terms of individuals asking questions at the moment. Okay, so Wumi, good evening, here to learn. Welcome, good evening. Uh, Uzomaka, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So this is me welcoming every individual into the room now at the moment. So I'm welcoming, checking questions, and I'm going to be entertaining questions as well. Okay, Uche from Abuja, you're welcome. You're welcome. Abisoye Adekunle from Lagos, you're welcome. Welcome into the live stream. Uzoma from Lagos, welcome. From Gladys, welcome. In Kim from Anambra, welcome. I'm just welcoming everybody into the room. I'm going to be checking questions in the chat room. Kindly drop your questions in the chat room now so that I can entertain as many questions as possible. Then before we round up the session, I'm going to be telling you how to get a copy of the slide that I just made presentation on. I'm going to be explaining how you're going to get that to you as well. So just checking through individuals in the chat room. Pokwola, you're welcome. Jesse, you're welcome. Ota, okay. Omoyemi Becky, you're welcome from Ogun State. Okay, so I think I'm getting the very first question. Yeah, so Ajibayo Adebayo is saying, good evening, sir. I once paid an IT for a blog, but to my greatest surprise, it crashed after I started using it for about 3 months. Okay, so I want to believe you paid somebody to set up a blog for you. So let me give you my hack. Since 2010 till date, I have about 3 different websites that I manage myself, and I use the word myself. I pay for the domain name, I pay for the hosting, I manage everything myself. Now, there are some things you can pay people to do, and there are some things you must learn to do. So take, for example, setting up a blog is very simple. You only need a hosting, which you can do yourself. WordPress makes it easy to set up a blog yourself. And since 2010 till date, the only thing I do is to pay a developer to get me the theme, customize it, and I run my show myself. So there are things that you can pay people to do, and there are some things you must learn to do yourself. So Olatunji is saying, thanks, sir, for this. What website can we make use of? I mean, to sell our skills. It's a function of you. So if you have a WordPress, so the simplest way to do a blog, for example, is to have a WordPress powered website. So if you start to write blogs, depending on your niche. So take, for example, if I pick Linda Ikeji, for example, I pick Olori Supergirl, for example, these are individuals that write entertainment news, and organizations approach them to put ads on their site. The first thing they needed to do is to add value. So when I mentioned a corporate sponsor approaching me to start to sponsor videos on my website, on my YouTube channel, is because I was giving value. So they saw the value and they said, let's pay you for the value. So when I say set up a website, we're saying value is very critical. You must be able to give value so that people will be able to pay you for the value that you give out. I hope that is very critical. So I'm taking questions now. What are the steps to start making money on YouTube? So Uzoma, there are various steps to start making money on YouTube. I will give you the simple ones, then I'll tell you the other ones that are extra. So there is a YouTube monetization platform where you must have at least 1,000 subscribers and 10,000 watch hours. So I'm getting into some terminologies. Then you can get into the YouTube partner program. But before you get to 1,000 subscribers, at the moment, I'm not at 1,000 subscribers. And I just crossed, sometime in December 2020, I just crossed 500 subscribers. And even before I crossed 500 subscribers, I was already having a corporate sponsor talking to me that they want to sponsor some of my YouTube videos. Now, that is me making sure that aside the YouTube partner program, I was giving out values. Like, take, for example, there are a couple of videos I've done on my YouTube channel that I already have about 1,000 views already. So I did a video on how much HR professionals are being paid. And that videos is the highest ranking videos on my website at the moment. I did it about 3 months ago, and it already has about 1,000 views already. I did another one on using Excel for HR analytics, and I must tell you that video is about 700 views, over close to 800 views at the moment. Now, the views may look small, but it speaks that there is a value that I'm giving out that is making individuals to come to that channel. So if you're able to create a value proposition, then you can start to make value. So that's some of the things that I'm willing to share with as many that want to monetize any of this. There is a how to monetize your skills bootcamp, which I will be, if you are interested, we can get to talk about it after this session. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Uzoma. So I have more questions. Good evening, sir. This is Inkem Emenike. Good evening, sir. My question is about what platform do I use to sell my skill after I have gotten trainings on it? It depends on the kind of training that you have done. So, and it may not be a one size fits all answer. It depends on the training, and it depends on what skill it is. So if I'm talking about writing, for example, then I can tell you, you can write a book, you can write a blog. As a matter of fact, there's a certain time I was approached to write for a certain blog, and they were going to be paying me for it. So that means if I can do it for free, somebody is willing to pay for it one way or the other. So that would be dependent on the question itself. So I wanted to get my own domain. Okay. So Ajibayo is just confirming, responding to my question to him. So thanks for the session. If the skills one intend to monetize is consulting for HR, how would one go about that and the pricing? So if you want to monetize your skill and it's an HR consulting skill, you need to find how to stand out. So when I started my HR consulting outfit, I've had courses where I've charged people 100K for something that I currently charge ₦1 million today. So it depends on when you're starting. So when I started up my HR consulting 5 years ago, I decided to go by the route of independent consulting, and I still do it today. What I mean by independent consulting is this: I partner with bigger HR consulting outfits. So I've had course to facilitate for Philips Consulting before, and it's the amount of money they paid may not be much at that time. But today, when I tell you that I facilitated for Philips Consulting, I facilitated for Workforce Group, it tends to boost my profile. So when you're trying to start a consulting, you want to monetize consulting, you may need to understudy. You may need to start to say, am I the best in what I'm trying to offer? So if I use myself as an example, what I needed to do for compensation and benefit was to position myself as an expert in compensation and benefit. And positioning myself as an expert meant I needed to make people to know more about me. So I started to volunteer. I started to, when the opportunity for Philips Consulting came around, I facilitated for them, that they called me back to come back. Workforce Group called me to facilitate. I did that for them. The HR school at the time did that. Then the pricing can vary. If you're trying to offer a consulting service to let's use the word, to an SME, for example, how much you're going to charge an SME will not be comparable to what you would charge a multinational or a small medium enterprise. So the prices can vary. So at the point, I had opportunity to do a project for a multinational at the time. And as at the time I was doing the fixed term contract with them, the amount they choose to offer me per month was a lot of money that if I told a small medium enterprise to pay me that amount of money, it's able to pay. So the pricing would definitely differ from place to place. So that's something you should take note of when it comes to pricing. But with time, you can get better. We can talk about this much more. Okay, so I'm trying to see any other question I'm missing here. Okay, so Shaya is saying, I did audio text transcription for a coach who is based in the UK. I did it for him on three different occasions, and he liked them. I need to take it seriously now because I get paid. Yes, you can get paid for doing audio transcription. just from audio to text. So that means you need to now start to say, how much do you charge? So take, for example, the audio transcription service I used last year, the person charges me, is it not five? Is it not? I can't remember again. Maybe 5,000 naira, or I can't remember again, per a certain minute of the audio. And gradually, so now that you have done it for free, Sheye, if you are now telling somebody to pay for it, you already have a testimonial. So there are times when you need to do some things for free. So take, for example, I've done this session for free now. If I tell you to come and pay for it, you would ask yourself, so if I can give this much value, if I can get this much value for free, if I now pay him, I think I will get much more value. So that's the whole idea. It's called validation. Just being able to help people to understand what you're trying to say. Temitope Atobatele, thank you very much. Great session. Okay, so I'm taking another question from Bambushe. For someone who is new as an HR professional, what can such person do? What can such person do to make influencer relevant in the field? I will tell you to need to build your personal brand. If you are new in HR, you need to build your personal brand. This is the time when you need to invest in training. You need to get very good at something. You need to look at the HR value chain and ask yourself, which area of HR am I good at? You need to get very good at an area of HR. So when I lost my job the third time, one of the things I did was what we call a skills matrix. I had to list out all the experiences I've had so far, and I asked myself, which of them will people be willing to pay me for? I had recruitment, talent acquisition as part of it. I had my experience in compensation and benefit. I had my experience in blogging. So the blogging parts produced my book, where I authored my first book. I didn't want to do recruitment again. I didn't want to offer recruitment as my unique value proposition because everybody is doing recruitment. I needed to pick an area of HR that most people run away from. And I think that's my singular decision to specialize, and pushing myself as a compensation and benefit specialist has done me more good in being known as an HR professional of repute in Nigeria. So that's something you should take note of. You need to pick an area and get very good in that area of HR. Okay, so Adasha, thank you so much. I'm glad that answered your question. So how do one start a podcast? Starting a podcast, Uzoma, is very easy. You can start a podcast with your phone. There's an Anchor app that you can start to podcast on your phone. As in, you can use your phone to record and it will publish. You only need to go to anchor.fm or go to your Play Store and download Anchor. And you can walk yourself through how to start to generate podcasts, how to start to record podcasts. But remember, you need to be able to add value to people. You can choose the niche you want to podcast on. So that's another interesting part. So podcasting is actually very, very easy. So, okay, Shaya is saying thank you very much. So I'm picking Esther Toyin's question now. Thanks for putting this together. Okay, Pishex, thank you very much, Esther. And for always being there. What platform can I use for my writing skills, please? So when you use the word platform, if I want to, maybe you're trying to say, how do you get better at writing? I'll share my own way how I get better. So what I do most times is that I read books a lot. So if you look behind me, you see a lot of books behind me there. So what I had to do during my writing days was, before I write any article, I go online and read similar articles in that area, and I tend to get a style of writing. So I used to like, and I still do, Malcolm Gladwell. I like his way of writing. He does a lot of research in his writing. There's a way Malcolm Gladwell researches his books and do a lot of things. So I tend to pattern my writing after him. So when you model your writing, you tend to get better even with time. Okay, so Lydia is saying thank you, sir, for the session. This is a big one question. Okay, I tend to speak publicly. That's this from coming from Oluwakemi Otitoju. I tend to speak publicly well and get positive feedback. I also anchor a couple of events in my workplace. I'm thinking of emceeing, and thankfully I am in the HR team. How do I proceed and monetize? Simple. You only need to start telling people that you are an MC now. Simple. Yes, you already have a few testimonials. We call them test case scenario. You have been doing it over time. All you need to do is to start telling people that you charge for it. Simple. Start by putting a small amount on it. So the very first time I needed to do a coaching session, maybe 5-6 years ago, thereabout, I said people should pay 5,000 naira for it, and 5 people showed up. 5 people, just 5 people showed up, and I felt I failed, but I didn't know it was a testimonial. I covered the event and I pushed the 5 people. I gave them my very best, and I can tell you for free, those 5 people have started to replicate more people today. So take, for example, I'm just telling you about someone that did a free coaching, paid for it last year, and the person is already willing to secure my services for the next 1 year. True, that's already a stream of income for me. It can be passive, but it means for the next 1 year, I'm going to get something. So you have done MC work very well. You need to let people know that you now charge for it. Start from smaller amount. Start from something small. Ask industry people how much they charge and position yourself. Then you can gradually increase the fee gradually. So when I started doing compensation and benefit training in 2016, it was 25,000 naira that we're charging. Today, you can't pay 25,000 naira to attend our compensation and benefit training, because we pitch against KPMG. We pitch our value at that level. So you can't pay us 25,000 naira for our trainings anymore. But when we started, you could pay us that amount. So that's another aspect that you need to take note. I'm going to look at more questions before I call it a day for today. So Bangoshe is asking, apart from recruitment, compensation and benefit, what other areas do we have in HR? There's an HR value chain. There's performance management. There's training and development. There's employee relations. There's organizational development. There is organizational development, change management. There's human resource information system, talking about digital HR softwares and how they affect HR. So there are a lot of areas in the HR value chain. Okay, beautiful. Good one. Thank you very much, Uzoma. So I'm looking through more questions now before we call it a day. So before I go through to take one more question, let me quickly make this quick announcement. So I'm picking questions now. I just want to make this quick announcement that for as many that would be interested, I'm actually looking at this idea of doing a monetize your skill bootcamp. So I'm going to be sending notices to every individual that registered for this session. So as many that will be interested to pay a small amount, where we'll be able to take you through a 6 weeks, 8 weeks program where you'll be able to pick a skill, narrow down to the skill you want to develop. If it's YouTube, build a skill in that area. If it's how to create online courses, yes, I do all of that as well, that have been monetized at the moment on our website, Cresta Academy. We are willing to take you through that session. Kindly drop, there is a career clarity, a link in the description. We're going to be giving you the details how that is going to go. So let me go ahead to take more questions before we call it an afternoon. Okay, so Zoma, thank you so much. Yeah, Adeshola Alogo, I see you. Thank you very much for the session. Okay, so Ajibayo is answering Bami Boshe's question. There's recruitment and selection, compensation, there's talent acquisition, payroll management, HR. Payroll management is part of compensation and benefits. There's performance management, there's employee relations. Thank you very much for that additional question. Okay, so someone, Omoyemi, is saying, I'm good at organizational behavior and just finished my MBA in HR. Aside from articles and blog online, I'm yet to see training on OB. I seriously wish to build my career on that as a consultant. Okay, so organizational behavior, OB, is one, or organizational development. That's actually the subsection in HR. Organizational behavior, it's almost organizational behavior, but the part of HR is more on organizational development. The reason is that there are skill sets that are a bit scarce in that area. There are very few HR people that are very good in that area, but you can be one. We used to have a training like that, which we did for a while, but the number of people that wanted to do the training was very few, so we stopped it for a while. But I must tell you, it is very available. Which question is that, Stella? I must have missed it. I'm sorry, Stella. I'm trying to see if I can pick. Okay, yeah, I picked. Now I found your question. I've been recruiting for some organization. How can I take it to a tech next level of monetizing recruitment, knowing that my clients so far have found compensation of talent acquired for them? Okay, so you only need to decide on Stella. Stella, I'm answering your question now. Apologies, I missed it earlier. When you need to monetize your training recruitment, you need to put a fee on it. It's either you do what we call retainership, meaning you have a retained search. So the client pays you a certain percentage for the recruited employee, and they can give you an advance fee to do the recruitment. Or you do contingency, means it's only on successful candidates that they pay you. So you can either ask them to pay a fixed amount. So take, for example, if I'm recruiting anybody less than 5 years of experience, you're going to pay me 50,000 naira flat for each person. Or you can do a percentage. So if you say 10%, 15%, so if the person is paying 1 is going to be paid 20 million naira, 15% is 10 million naira, 15% is already 1.5 million. Those are recruitment that are very sweet. But if they are lower level roles, you can just pay a fixed amount. So that's how you actually answer that. I hope that helps you a lot, Share. Sorry, Stella. I hope that answers your question. Let me know in the comments. I'm just scrolling through. Apologies if I missed any of your question in the course of the session. The comments are actually coming in so much. Okay, I think I picked this already. Okay, so I picked that. Did you? Okay, so Folashade Adeni is asking me a question. Did you identify any gap in HR areas that people should consider? Yes. So take, for example, in my own case, I identified that most people run away from compensation and benefit. And I decided to be a specialist in that area. Until today, there are still a deficit in compensation and benefit. There is a deficit in HR analytics as well, because it is calculation area. Most HR people run away from calculation. So as a result, if you are very good in that area, it becomes a benefit. There are many times individuals still send questions to me that they need referrals. They need me to refer them to compensation and benefit expert, HR analytics expert. And sometimes I come empty. Yes, as an organization, we do a few trainings in that area and we put them, but you need to own your skill, even in that HR field. In compensation and benefit, very similar as a subset is payroll management. Payroll management is an area that HR people need to get better at. Then the use of HR softwares. The mixing of technology and digital with HR is a critical area that every HR person must get better at. How many HR softwares can you use? If I tell you that, do you know about SAP? Do you know about Seamless HR? Do you know about what other ones are available? Payday and some other areas. And you go empty because you don't know about those HR softwares. So it's very critical that you need to learn about HR softwares. That's another area aside the other areas of HR. Okay. So I think I'll pick one more question. So Esther Tony is trying to answer workforce planning. It's just the various areas of HR. So before we call it a day, I just really want to mention this. We're going to be sending details of we're trying to put together the Monetize Your Skills Bootcamp for as many that will be interested to take this conversation to the next level. What we have only done today is to tell you that there are three major things that you need to do to start to monetize your skill. Number one is to discover what that skill is about. Number two is to be able to develop it to the point at which people will pay you for it. And number three is to be able to deploy it. Now, if we're going to take it into the various details, kindly let me know in the chat room if you want to be part of we're going to be sending the details to everybody, actually, everybody that registered for this session, the Monetize Your Skills Bootcamp, we're going to be giving it that to every individual. And it's also interesting for you to know that the replay is going to be available for everybody that wants to watch after now. So I'm not pulling down the video. The video will be available for everyone that wants to replay. If you want to book a 30-minute career clarity session with me, kindly go to the show notes, the description of this video right away, and be able to book that 30-minute career clarity session. It's 30 minutes for free. After 30 minutes, we can decide to say if you want to pay or not. So Bimbo Shitabe, thank you very much. This was great, Mr. Akiode. Thank you for sharing knowledge with us. I'm glad. Okay, so we're rounding up now. Oluwakemi Otituju, quite insightful. Thank you so much. Opayemi Becky, thank you so much. Thank you for showing up. Okay, Uzoma is interested. We're going to get in touch with you after today. So thank you very much for everyone.